Salam, peace be upon you. My name is Muhammad Laik Siddiqui, the father of Holophase, part 41, Publicness, when Phi Pattern knowledge becomes shared rather than private. We began with one insight: pattern is primary. Phi is circular comparability, the root permission for distinction. Only relations are public. Identity is invariance under lawful transformation. Persistence is certified survival through change. Interaction is joint constraint. Time is ordered transformation. No ex nihilo. Every appearance has provenance. The observer is a pattern within pattern reality. Measurement produces traces. Memory stabilizes them. Models compress structure. Prediction narrows lawful futures. Learning updates structure while preserving identity. Intervention alters coupling. Computation transforms patterns under rules. Information is constraint on possibility. Publicness is what makes knowledge shareable. 1. The moment we ask, what makes knowledge public? We have traveled far together. We have seen how patterns emerge, persist, transform, and interact. We have watched observers measure, models predict, learners update, interveners steer. We have understood computation as pattern transformation and information as constraint on possibility. Now we face a question that has been waiting since the very beginning. What makes pattern knowledge public rather than private? A scientist has an insight. A mystic has a vision. A child has a feeling. All are experiences of pattern, but only some become part of public science. What is the difference? Phi pattern science is not private pattern intuition. It is public pattern certification. Private seeing may be insightful. It may guide inquiry. It may be the source of hypothesis. But it is not yet public pattern science. Publicness is not automatic. It must be achieved through specific conditions. Without those conditions, a claim may be true, but it is not yet public. Part 41 installs this understanding. A simple, everyday example: the owl in the forest. Imagine we are walking through a forest at dusk. One of us suddenly stops and whispers, "We think we hear an owl." That moment is private seeing. Maybe the sound really was an owl. Maybe it was the wind. Maybe it was a different bird. At this stage, the pattern exists only within one person's window. Now, suppose we record the sound. We note the time, the location, the conditions. We examine the waveform. We compare it with known owl calls. Another observer listens to the recording. They independently recognize the pattern. They say, "Yes, that matches the call of a barred owl." Now the claim becomes stronger. It has moved from private seeing towards something that can be shared. If still later, others visit the same region under similar conditions and record similar calls, the claim becomes stronger yet. The owl did not become real when we recorded it. It was real all along. But the claim about the owl became public because others could check it. The three modes of pattern recognition. Before we go further, we must build a very sharp distinction. There are three different modes of pattern recognition. They look similar at first glance, but they are fundamentally different. Private seeing, intuition, impression, personal recognition. This is the moment when a person notices something. It is the seed of discovery, but it is not yet public. Others cannot check it. Others cannot compare it. Others cannot verify it. Example: I feel there is a pattern in this data. That is private seeing. It may guide investigation, but it is not a claim that can be tested by others. Tentative observation. The person begins to say something like, "It looks like there may be something here." Not certainty, not declaration, but suggestion. This is the moment when intuition begins turning into a claim, but the claim is still fragile. It invites testing, checking, further observation. Example: these dots seem to form a spiral. The observer is reporting an impression, not yet a certified pattern. Public claim: a replayable and auditable certification outcome. The claim can be checked by others. The pathway to the claim can be retraced. The uncertainty is declared. Example: under these conditions, with this instrument, at this resolution, a spiral pattern with these parameters is certifiable. The transition from private to public is the transition from intuition to science. 4. Why this distinction matters. People often move too quickly from seeing to knowing, and from knowing to expecting others to agree. Someone notices a pattern and immediately speaks as if truth has arrived. Someone feels strongly about something and begins presenting it as fact. Someone famous says something confidently and people repeat it. A community believes something together, and the belief begins to feel like reality. But our framework cannot allow that shortcut. Phi Pattern science is not a science of conviction. It is a science of publicly certifiable pattern structure. Private seeing may be brilliant, but it remains private knowledge. It is the seed, not the tree. Another example: the cake recipe. A family recipe is passed down through generations. It is shared within the family. But is it public? If the recipe is written as a pinch of this, a handful of that, cook until done, it is not public. The instructions are vague. The measurements are not standardized. Another cook cannot reliably reproduce the dish. If the recipe is written as 3.5 grams of salt, 250 milliliters of water, heat to 180 degrees Celsius for 30 minutes, it becomes public. The conditions are declared. The measurements are precise. Another cook can follow the same steps and expect a similar result. Publicness is not about secrecy. It is about reproducibility under declared conditions. The cake exists either way, but the knowledge of how to make it becomes public only when the conditions are declared. What publicness requires? Publicness is not automatic. It requires specific conditions to be met. Shared windows or mappable windows. Observers must be looking through windows that can be related. If one observer uses a microscope and another uses a telescope, their windows are different, but they may be mappable if the relationship between scales is understood. If someone claims to see invisible creatures that no instrument can detect and no one else can observe, the claim remains private, even if the person believes it strongly. Publicness requires that the window be accessible or at least translatable. Declared conditions. How was the observation made? Under what lighting? With what instrument? At what resolution? With what preprocessing? Under what assumptions? This is why scientific papers describe methods. It is why recipes include ingredients and temperatures. It is why engineers publish specifications. Without declared conditions, a claim cannot be replayed. Comparable traces. Public claims require records left by measurement: numbers, images, audio recordings, data files, instrument logs, physical samples. If someone says, "We saw something strange," that is difficult to evaluate. But if there is a photograph, a dataset, or a recording, the claim becomes inspectable. Traces allow observers to compare evidence. Repeatability and reconstruction. Others must be able to walk the same path. They may not get identical results, uncertainty is expected, but the pathway must be clear enough that they can attempt reproduction. Uncertainty disclosure. Every claim has limits: resolution limits, accuracy limits, precision limits, confidence intervals. These must be declared. Without this, a claim may be true, but it is not public. An example across scales: the telescope observation. An astronomer observes a distant galaxy through a telescope. Private scene. That looks like a spiral galaxy. Tentative observation. I think I see spiral arms. Public claim. At coordinates RA 12 - 34 meters, the Semper plus 45 degrees, with the Hubble Space Telescope using the WFC3 instrument in F555W filter, with exposure time 1200 seconds on date 2023-10-15, a galaxy with spiral arms of pitch angle 25 degrees plus or minus 3 degrees is certified. The public claim includes the window, telescope, instrument, filter, exposure, date. The conditions, all parameters declared. The trace, the image, archived and accessible. Repeatability, others can request similar observations. Uncertainty, pitch angle given with error bounds. This is public knowledge. Publicness is not majority vote. Here is a crucial point that is often misunderstood. Publicness is not popularity. It is not consensus. A claim can be public even if few people accept it. If it meets the conditions, shared windows, declared conditions, comparable traces, repeatability, uncertainty disclosure, it is public. Others may disagree with the interpretation, but the claim itself is available for checking. A claim can be widely believed and still not be public. If it lacks the conditions, if the window is undeclared, if traces are not comparable, if repeatability is impossible, then it is not public, no matter how many people believe it. Publicness is an audit property, not a popularity contest. A scientific theory may be controversial. Few scientists accept it. But if its claims are stated with declared windows, conditions, traces, and uncertainties, it is public. Others can test it, criticize it, attempt to falsify it. A popular belief, widely held across cultures, may have no declared windows, no comparable traces, no repeatability. It is not public, no matter how many people hold it. Publicness is about checkability, not agreement. Publicness protects against authority. This is one of the most important functions of publicness. Publicness prevents authority substitution. A claim is not true because someone important said it. A claim is not true because an institution endorses it. A claim is not true because it is ancient or traditional. A claim is public because it can be checked. Anyone with the appropriate windows and training can attempt to verify it. Authority is not a substitute for checkability. This is the foundation of scientific objectivity without mysticism. Objectivity is not a view from nowhere. It is the structured outcome of public checking under declared conditions. An expert says, based on my decades of experience, this pattern is X. This is not a public claim. It may be based on private seeing, on intuitions formed over years. The expert may be right, but the claim is not public because others cannot check the expert's internal process. If the expert says, here is my data, here are my methods, here are my uncertainty bounds, here is how you can reproduce my analysis, then the claim becomes public. Expertise is valuable for generating hypotheses, for designing investigations, for interpreting results. But expertise alone does not make a claim public. Only checkability does. 10. Refusal is also public. Here is a point that is often missed. When a claim fails certification, that failure is public knowledge. A refused claim is not private embarrassment. It is public boundary mapping. It tells the community, here, under these conditions, with these methods, no certifiable pattern was found. Negative results are part of the public record. They map the territory of legibility. They prevent others from wasting time on the same dead ends. They constrain future search. The map of legibility includes both what is found and what is not found. A team searches for a new particle. They find nothing. They publish their results. Null detection under declared conditions, with declared uncertainty bounds, with declared methods. This is public knowledge. It tells other physicists, don't look here with similar sensitivity. It constrains theory. It guides future searches. The refusal is as public as any certification. Publicness as shared test space. A public claim enters a shared space where any competent observer can replay the pathway. Tests can be repeated under similar conditions. Disagreement can be localized to conditions, different windows, different methods, different interpretations. This shared space is what makes science cumulative. Each public claim becomes a node in a growing network of accountable knowledge. The scientific literature is a shared test space. Each paper declares its windows, its methods, its traces, its uncertainties. Other scientists can attempt to replicate. They can extend. They can criticize. The literature is not a collection of truths. It is a collection of public claims, each with its provenance, each open to checking. This is what makes science different from private intuition. The publicness principle. Now we can state the principle that organizes Part 41. Public Phi Pattern knowledge means cross-observer reproducible pattern structure under declared conditions, supported by replayable and auditable certification pathways. This means private seeing is not public. Tentative observation is not public. A claim becomes public only when it meets the conditions: shared windows, declared conditions, comparable traces, repeatability, uncertainty disclosure. Refusal is also public when it meets these conditions. Publicness is not popularity, not consensus, not authority. Publicness is earned through checkability. The rigor layer, the publicness gate. Publicness gets its own gate, the publicness gate. The publicness gate asks, are the windows shared or mappable across observers? Are the observation conditions declared? Are the traces comparable? Is repeatability demonstrated or at least clearly specified? Is uncertainty disclosed? Is the claim presented as public, not as private intuition or tentative observation? Is authority used as substitute for checkability? If the answer is no, if windows are not shared, if conditions are hidden, if traces are incomparable, if repeatability is impossible, the claim cannot be certified as public. The publicness gate requires window declaration, shared or mappable. Conditions declaration, how observation was made. Trace comparability, records that can be compared. Repeatability evidence, pathway specified. Limits declared. Authority attestation, no substitution of authority for checkability. Firewalls, what publicness discipline blocks. Publicness discipline installs several critical firewalls. Firewall 1. No conflating popularity with publicness. A claim is not public because many believe it. It is public because it can be checked. Firewall 2. No treating authority as substitute for public conditions. Expertise, prestige, tradition do not make a claim public. Checkability does. Firewall 3. No hiding uncertainty in public claims. Uncertainty must be declared. Claims without uncertainty bounds are not fully public. Firewall 4. No claiming public status without meeting conditions. If windows are not shared, if traces are incomparable, if repeatability is impossible, the claim is not public. Firewall 5. No treating private intuition as public knowledge. Private seeing is the starting point. not the endpoint. It must be transformed through public conditions. No refusing to publish refusals. Negative results are public knowledge too. They map the boundaries of legibility. These firewalls keep publicness honest. 15. Refusal conditions. We refuse to certify a claim as public if windows are not shared or mappable, conditions are undeclared, traces are not comparable, repeatability is not demonstrated or specified, uncertainty is hidden, authority is substituted for checkability, private intuition is presented as public knowledge. Refusal here is not pedantry. It is protecting the integrity of public science. 16. Why this matters. Beyond science, publicness in life. Publicness is not only for science, it is for how we share knowledge in everyday life. In a conversation, we can share private impressions. I feel like something is wrong. That is valuable. It opens dialogue. But if we want to make a shared decision, we need something more public. Here are the facts. Here is the evidence. Here is how you can check for yourself. In a community, decisions based on private intuition of a few are vulnerable to error and manipulation. Decisions based on public knowledge, shared windows, declared conditions, comparable evidence are more robust. In a democracy, publicness is essential. Citizens must be able to check claims made by leaders, by media, by institutions. Without publicness, authority substitutes for evidence and manipulation thrives. Publicness is not a luxury, it is the foundation of collective intelligence. A final image, the lighthouse and the fleet. Imagine a fleet of ships navigating at night. Each ship sees a different portion of the sea. Each captain has private impressions of where the rocks are. If they keep their impressions private, they navigate alone. Some may hit rocks, some may survive. There is no shared knowledge. But if they agree on a lighthouse, a shared reference, a common window, then each can report what they see relative to that light. The reports can be compared. A shared map of the hazards emerges. The lighthouse is publicness. It does not guarantee that every report is accurate, but it provides the conditions for checking, for comparing, for building shared knowledge. The fleet navigates together, not alone. Closing insight. We began with comparability. From phi emerged distinction. From distinction emerged pattern. From pattern emerged identity, persistence, interaction, measurement, memory, modeling, prediction, learning, intervention, computation, information. And now, publicness. Publicness is not a new ingredient. It is the condition under which pattern knowledge becomes shareable, checkable, cumulative. It is the transition from private intuition to public science. It is earned through meeting conditions, not granted by authority. It is open to all who can meet those conditions, not restricted to the privileged. Publicness is how pattern science becomes something we can do together. We now move forward. With publicness established, we can ask, what determines what part of a pattern becomes legible? That depends on a scale. That is part 42. Always, peace be upon you.